What's going on, guys? It's Cade from Beyond the Box, and I got my hands on the ASUS ROG Ally. ASUS's new handheld PC, top of the line of the market, and I've had it since the day it launched now, and I've learned a lot about it. I've basically been living and breathing the ASUS ROG Ally. I haven't really used my gaming PC that much. This thing can even run VR. Like, if you guys have any desire to ever do virtual reality, desktop VR, anywhere you want with a VR headset like an Oculus Quest 2, then you could do this. It's not gonna be the most amazing experience for VR, but it's definitely doable. And speaking of VR, I'm actually giving away an Oculus Quest 2 at 20,000 subscribers, and I'm giving a PS5 away at 30,000 subscribers, so all you guys gotta do is hit that subscribe button. If you don't like the video and you don't like my channel, you can always unsubscribe later, but I actually might be doing a giveaway in the future, maybe for a Steam Deck or a handheld, I don't know. Yeah, you should subscribe. The ROG Ally is twice as strong as the Steam Deck. It blows my mind. So we're basically looking at something that's at least twice as strong, if not stronger than what we got right now, than what we've had for the past year. And when you overclock it, the possibilities are a lot bigger than that. You can plug the ROG Ally into an external GPU and really like boost the overall gaming experience and turn this into an actual physical like desktop PC. Next to that, you're gonna find the SD card slot. We'll talk more about the SD card issue in a second. Headphone jack, which is great. There is Bluetooth in here as well. Bluetooth is flawless. It's immediate. It's amazing. I use headphones. I use gaming controllers through Bluetooth. It's a perfect experience. Volume rockers. You got your power light and your charging light there. You got your power button, which is a fingerprint reader, which is a really nice touch. I know this is not new technology to you Android users, but to us Apple people, we haven't really seen much of this stuff, so it's pretty cool. If we take a look at the product itself, these LEDs around the thumbsticks are a pretty cool touch. They can be a little bit of a hindrance sometimes. The speakers are very loud. The D-pad is a good D-pad. It's not an amazing D-pad. It's kind of trashy actually. Like, it could be way better, but it's, I don't know how good it will be for mashing, punching games, stuff like all that. I'm not interested in that. As for the design being white, I am very disappointed that this is white. Can you guys see this? This is within like a week and a half of use in the house, basically just in the house. It's getting more gross than a PS5 controller. White is just completely a horrible idea. You're gonna have to clean your hands more times a day than you do anything else if you plan on touching this. This just gets dirty so fast. Now, because it does have a USB Type-C charging port, you can connect to like a wired or wireless keyboard and mouse, whatever. Just add a little dongle and you can use that. Now, connecting to the internet on this thing is pretty okay. It's rocking an onboard Wi-Fi 6E. MW2 gave me a lot of error codes when opening it up sometimes. I don't know. Error codes that were just like so vague on the internet, you couldn't really figure it out. And no other game on Steam or any other game launcher had a problem except MW2 connecting to the game servers at all sometimes. It was very weird. But let's talk about the experience of the product itself and tell you what it's got inside and go from there. So this thing has 8 Zen 4 cores and RDNA 3 graphics, and it's got 16 gigabytes of DDR5 high-speed memory. SSD is only 512 gigabytes inside. It's just a night and day difference. The gaming experience is incredibly different. As you guys see, I have actually switched from SteamOS to Windows. And on the Steam Deck, it's just a nightmare. It's not optimized. It wasn't meant to be going on the Steam Deck. And this version of Windows that I downloaded onto the Steam Deck was never capable of doing this Windows mobile mode as I'm asking it to do. It completely pummels the Steam Deck power-wise and what it's capable of in 25 watts or higher. Now, I don't even play wireless. I know this is a mobile device, and yeah, I know you can play wireless if you want to. I just don't. I think the idea of using a cable to hit that manual operating mode, if you want to overclock and set 8 gigabytes or automatic gigabytes to your core memory instead of the standard 4, then you could do that. Even though these guys are the exact same battery size, the Steam Deck is a lot more optimized for the power, and you will play for around 2 or 3 hours on a single charge with this, whereas I have seen maybe a % per minute slide off of this. I don't know, the battery is not great, but at the end of the day, I never planned to not have to take this around with a cable because I always keep my phones 100%. I'm always the guy that's over prepared battery wise. Now, speaking of charging and cables, I recommend that you only use the 65 watt charger that ASUS recommended. I've tried other cables, I've tried other boxes, it just doesn't work the exact same. And I can never get the 30 watt manual operating mode where I put my custom overclock settings on because of the cable and power brick that I'm using. It just doesn't work. Now, a big reason for the power consumption between these two devices is the Steam Deck can only hit 800p. Even at minimum settings, it's 800p. Whereas the ROG has freaking 1080p, baby. I wanna make something very clear to you guys. When we played on an Xbox 360, it wasn't 720p. It was probably worse than that. We were playing on Xbox Ones, we were most times playing the game at 720p. I have not been playing console games consistently at 1080p for a while until I started switching to a gaming PC. For these old console games you guys used to have, whether it's emulation games or even recent games in 2015, 2016, you're gonna see a big difference, and it's gonna be literally a better experience than playing on a gaming console from 2015. Because of the Windows OS is optimized for this thing with the Armored Crate, which is incredible and customizable as hell. If I ever have a problem, I know how to quickly solve it because I know how to use Windows. If any of you use Windows, then you're gonna find all your problems fixable with a simple YouTube search off the bat. The screen's input lag was measured to be around 4.4 to 7 milliseconds on input lag. I don't know the input lag of the Steam Deck screen, but 4.4 to 7 milliseconds is pretty damn good. I mean, professional gaming monitors are like 1 millisecond or under, so it's not a professional gaming monitor, but it's like 7-8 inches wide. Like, they fit it down. I don't know, get used to it, like, be grateful. So you can see the difference in the colors of the screen. This looks more lifelike and this looks more like I'm a ghost. This is what I actually look like in real life, so that's nice. With that said, the brightness is 500 nits on the ROG Ally, and on the Steam Deck, the brightness is around 400 max, at least what they advertise. It does get a little brighter through some tests online, but they advertise 400, they advertise 500, and this is a very bright device. At night, it can keep you up at night if somebody's playing it right next to you. Even if it's bright outside, you can turn this thing to max brightness and actually see and play in the sun. And you can play for a while until your battery runs out, or if you're corded, I guess that would work. But there are two drawbacks of not playing with a Steam Deck. Number one, you don't get these touchpads. It is nice sometimes to use the touchpad as a stylus if you're in desktop mode. Drawback number two, there are only 2 buttons on the back of the ROG Ally. There are actually 4 buttons on the back of the Steam Deck. You can't get a case with a kickstand for the ROG Ally yet, but I'm sure you will soon. By the way, this is an Xbox controller, so it does have Xbox thumbsticks. It's definitely a complete different experience versus using the built-in handheld thumbsticks gamepad or using an outside external controller. It's just night and day difference. If you're using the ROG Ally as a screen and you're holding an actual game controller, then it's an amazing experience. It's basically holding a computer gaming console in your hands at that point. There's no difference. I just don't think these are very optimized thumbsticks. I mean, they're not bad, they're not completely trash. I'm a Call of Duty player. This is the most important part of a Call of Duty controller is the thumbsticks. It's not bad. If you're going over to grandma's and you can't bring a controller, you can make this work for like a couple hours. That can work. I got some good news and I got some bad news. The bad news, this thing gets so damn hot, it could melt your face off. The good news is ASUS built this design really smart and dissipated the heat from the back in the middle externally and out through the top. There's 2 fan vents at the top right there. It's a really good thing that they disperse the heat very equally in this device, because when you plug it in and you put it in manual operating mode, you can push this baby to 48 watts. This thing can get fucking hot. In manual mode, you can play with the TDP, how fast your fan speed spins, at what temperature, and all that. So if you think the fan is too loud, you can always turn it down a little bit. If you think you don't mind the fan speed loudness, then you can just push it up a little bit for your gameplay. The fans are loud, but the speakers are louder. That's the really good thing about this gaming device, is I don't actually recommend very many devices, speakers to be used internally that are great as an option by itself, but if you don't have a pair of headphones, if you're by yourself, you're not really gonna need one. I mean, the sound quality is pretty good, whether it's watching movies, YouTube, playing games, you name it. It's got great speakers. ASUS does sound really good. And by the way, guys, the touch screens are mighty responsive. I don't know if you just saw it. How many clicks does it take? It's the same exact operating system. The typing experience is not very good on here. I just feel like it's not very responsive at all. The touchscreen is much more responsive, much more active here. I feel like I gotta really be like identical with my touches here versus on the ROG Ally, anything I touch is exactly what I'm doing and it just pops up. It just makes a lot of sense. Now, the only problem I have with the ROG Ally right now is the SD problem. As you guys might have recently heard, with the updated BIOS from 317 to 319, it actually caused a lot of problems when reading SD cards, and I had no problem using the SD card on my Steam Deck. And actually, the update started bricking SD cards, so I'm not sure if my SD card is even working right now. We're gonna have to find out and see, wait for ASUS to come out with an update. Some of my favorite parts about this is there's no more Proton BS. No more having to switch protons because your game isn't optimized or it doesn't work on your Steam Deck. You don't have to worry about that here. It just freaking works. I've played every game that's my favorite in my library so far. I can't tell you a single problem that it's given me actually running the game. That's the great thing. Any game you want, it's gonna run and it's gonna do just fine. No more Steam OS, no more Linux. I just couldn't stand that. I could never comprehend it anywhere near as well. Like, it's not even a Mac. Like, okay, it's not a Mac, it's not a PC. What the hell is it? I couldn't understand it. The Call of Duty experience on a handheld just makes sense. Grand Theft Auto 5 on a handheld, 1080p, 60 frames a second, just makes sense. 120 hertz, smooth as butter. It just makes sense. I don't know, it's 2023. Doesn't it seem like this should have happened a long time ago? Like, the PSP was so ahead of its time. The DS was so ahead of its time. The Wii U, like, we've been waiting for Xbox or PlayStation to build something like this, and it's crazy that ASUS actually jumped into the player field and put out a device that was better than the original. It makes this thing seem like a bad product. Now, if you guys want to see the top 10 best accessories for the ASUS ROG Ally, make sure you smash that thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps me out. Or leave a thumbs down if you didn't like the review and you didn't like what I had to say. It really helps me out and I really appreciate the feedback. Leave a comment, let me know, what team are you on? Are you on Steam Deck or are you gonna get an ROG Ally? I hope you guys liked my review. I hope it was entertaining. If you guys did, a like is always appreciated, and I hope you guys check out some of my other videos, including my Steam Deck video I'll have linked over here. Like I said, we are giving an Oculus Quest 2 away and a PS5 away. All you gotta do is subscribe, and with that being said, I'm gonna call it quits here, guys. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out.